Hello and welcome everyone, this is Blackadder at Blackadder's Place. Well, and I welcome you to today's video, as you're gonna be having a bit of a uncommon format with an upload, but yeah, well, there are a few things to be right now talking about. Let's gonna not, I don't know, walk around the hot mesh as we say in Czech. You see on the picture, Age of Mythology Remastered, Definitive Edition, I don't know what, simply retold, is going to be apparently coming. Was somewhat expected that maybe with the 20th anniversary it could be something coming up, and well, we got the announcement, which at this point is pretty much it, which is somewhat to be expected, as if you have been following me, then you know I have been kind of like saying that it's still a bit early in Age of Empires 4 product cycles, so therefore it's gonna be expected to therefore be having some kind of further pause in there before Age of Mythology is gonna be having its treatment, because it would be very unlikely they wouldn't be doing it, because it's free money. Legitimately free money to be doing this, based on the results of the previous definitive editions and releases, and in general the kind of liking of the whole thing. But nonetheless, I guess that at this point we could be maybe therefore getting into a bit of a rundown of all the things that we have heard today. There's gonna be of course a bit of talk on the Age of Mythology from me a bit more. So can I guess we could probably get it going through the news post on the Age of Empires web. So let's get to it. And we are going to be therefore, as you can see already, we have a few things right about now prepared here. So what do we all get? No. So, of course, 25th year anniversary, so therefore we were doing the Age of Empires 1 stream. If you missed that, on 15th October, that is the 25 years anniversary proper for release of Age of Empires 1. We're having some fun campaigns. One of the missions, by the way, was also featured in the history kind of reel for the Age of franchise, so that is quite a bit fun. No, and we are going to be therefore at this point having a look through all the actual announcements. I was also having all kinds of theories what maybe could be happening, but nonetheless, well, going to consoles, it has been asked for a lot. Frankly, that's not something that I would be expecting, and like today. It was quite a bit likely it's gonna be coming one of those days, considering this kind of like continued success of the franchise still. So well, that's gonna be nice for the franchise in general, as that should be bringing plenty more players. It's gonna be bit interesting how they're gonna be maybe changing the game, considering that, no, well, there are of course a few potential problematic things if you will be trying to adapt it through consoles. That is certainly quite a bit true. No, and we're gonna be therefore having right now the launch into the 2023 31st January should be launch of Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. No, and somewhere in 2023 there's gonna be Age of Empires 4 coming as well. For the others, up in the air. 1 maybe, because of something you're gonna be talking later. 3, no news on that. Mythology, of course, no news on that either. So that to be kind of tied to each other, I guess. So it's maybe right now pause slightly the soundtrack for Age of Mythology, as a do have that as a background. And let's maybe have a look therefore on, okay, on this. It's a bit loud. Not entirely too much there, right? But so far it doesn't seem like there are any kind of like clear details that we could have seen. It was quite a bit kind of like just bare bones teaser, but they're gonna be obviously quite a bit further already in the process. I think that's quite a bit clear. Gonna be looking at the start if there's maybe some detail on the Age of Empires 2, because it's logically quite a bit closer to be already done and finished. PC, console and cloud. Yep, can say it now, early next year. That's gonna be the fun for the console gamers as well. So there's something fun here. No, I don't think there was anything special. I think this is just like a classic kind of like recording of a monitor or TV. Didn't seem like there was anything special for us to see. Go away, please. Doesn't seem like there's any kind of change here. Yeah, because it's going to be interesting if they're gonna be approaching it in a way that you have to be having keyboard and a mouse, and therefore it's gonna be unplayable with controller, but it's kind of playable with control even now. For example, Dave is playing on controller even the current version of Age of Empires, so it probably will be possible. So I guess there are gonna be some accommodations for that. Hopefully it's not gonna be touching too much into real game. There already were some kind of like mentions by people that possibly there could be some nonsenses like auto conversions, because it's gonna be hard to do some things on a controller. No, we're gonna be hoping that nothing like that is gonna be coming, because it might be a bit nasty. I mean, like, you do have something like auto aim, right, on console shooters, so maybe something like that will be coming into place, but we have to see what they're gonna be actually doing with that. So that is the first piece. Second piece was about the franchise history. There are some very interesting parts in that. We're gonna be looking through that hole, and you're gonna be there for commenting on that on time. It's 8 minutes, so kind of long. You've probably already seen it all, but hopefully you're gonna be enjoying that as well.
In rare moments throughout history, a movement grows so strong, so powerful, that it becomes legend. A legend that spans decades, continents, that spreads across our world. This legend involves an army of sorts, millions strong. From children to the age,
was the release or kind of like announcement of AoE 4 and all definitive editions, of course.
Is turned away. To succeed in this army, you need not be strong of arm, but strong of mind and heart. I speak, of course, of the legend of Age of Empires. This legend begins at the dawn of civilization.
I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be pausing, but what I wanted to showcase and look at is
legend begins at the
2021. Okay, so that's no release date for Age of Mythology, in case you were wondering. So it is, in my opinion, it's going to be coming. It basically, they barely started. We're gonna be getting into it with Age of Mythology, but just kind of wanted to showcase there is no part like that.
Dawn of
interesting timeline. 2018 with definitive editions, completely even HD and EE out from the timeline, interestingly, but you'll see a bit later also.
1997. Even in the
yep, October 15, we were doing that Age of Empires 1 stream, as I mentioned. We had the campaigns and the missions. Some fun. You have that on Twitch if you're interested.
A sophisticated real-time strategy game set in authentic historical ages. Players chose a campaign and turned a handful of villagers into a thriving empire.
You can play it even in HD, and you don't have to be having definitive edition. Just need to be using U-patch. I do have video on that on my YouTube as well. So recommend it. You are still having the original. It works quite fine. Modern computers as well.
Or dominate the islands of Japan under the light of the rising sun. Players weren't just choosing different scenery. Each civilization had distinct unit advantages.
This mission, this is actually something that we did on the anniversary stream that I was doing. This is the mission, The Great Hunt. Quite one of the most annoying missions I have played in the campaign so far. I play on hardest, but nonetheless still. Hard one. Really hard one. So we did manage to do it hardcore though, without saving. So if you want to be seeing how it's done, then again, I'm having it on my Twitch. Someday I'm gonna be putting it on YouTube, but yep.
And disadvantages. Age of Empires was expanded by the rise of Rome, which introduced technological innovations like unit queuing and hotkeys. The expansion grew not just the world of the game, but the fans of Age of Empires into a force that was millions strong. The game was so popular that later on it was given out for free in some cereal boxes in Australia. Just a year later, Age of Empires 2, The Age of Kings was released. In an entirely new time period and across different landscapes, players could conquer fresh horizons. They could invade Eurasia with Genghis Khan, crusade with Barbarossa, drive back the invaders with Saladin, inspire their country with Joan of Arc, or protect their homelands with William Wallace. The discovery of hidden cheat codes helped ease the path to victory. Some of these cheat codes gave military units crucial help on the battlefield, or fed hungry villagers, while some gave you a really sweet card.
Yeah, this is quite a nice video
While some
overall.
things had changed, others remained the same. Players had to be careful, yet bold, patient,
Yep,
but also
the old
swift.
school development
If they
way.
used their resources wisely, players could make technological advances in the military, economy, religion, and if... No. You'll never convert me. Begone, vile priests! After conquering the world of
In my opinion, it's a bit
those behind
overplayed, this
Age of
kind of
Empires
priest man,
set their
but
sights on new horizons.
there we go.
Now players could travel to mythological realms, interacting with creatures of lore, as the Atlantean war hero Arkantos.
You could already tell here, even from this point, you could already tell there is a remaster going on, because this is obviously remastered cinematic. They already apparently have that, therefore already done, or at least are working upon, because I don't think that the original looks this way. You're gonna be looking at that potential, I'm gonna be finding it later, but this already struck me immediately, that this is looking way too good. Gonna be looking at that again on the original cinematic somewhere and compare the difference potentially.
They traveled across known and
This is
unknown
EE.
worlds,
Interesting
from
that they're
Atlantis
actually
to
using
Egypt, to the
combination of
Northlands.
EE and
Ever since its
original.
release,
This
players
is
have
EE.
longed for Egypt to... They
Right,
traveled
this is
with
EE.
creatures of lore, as the
This is
Atlantean
original,
war hero
obviously.
Arkantos. They traveled across known
This is
and
EE as well.
unknown worlds, from Atlantis.
This is gonna
to
be interesting
Egypt,
because of
to
what's
the
coming a bit
Northlands.
later.
Ever since its release, players have longed for a definitive edition of Age of Mythology, but it has remained the stuff of myth.
Quite a troll. At this point,
Age of Empires
It could have
2
been just a troll
introduced
still.
another innovative function, multiplayer accounts. Players could face off with real enemies across the world or across the room.
good old Zone and
Age
Aesop.
of Empires 3 picked
Aesop
up in the
still the
late
best
16th
client
century,
I've probably
with
played
players
upon.
exploring North America in a quest for the Fountain of Youth. Players could choose between 8 different civilizations as they followed the story of the Black family through 5 ages. The campaign opened up the possibility of other civilizations, and the expansion packs added in more options with the war chiefs and the Asian dynasties. Age of Empires 3 also introduced the Havoc physics engine and home cities. Cheat codes, of course, remained highly sought after. Unfortunately, the AI evolved along with the game.
All hail, King of the Losers!
With these 4 first games, Age of Empires had established itself across the world.
I'm right now pausing for a reason.
The popularity of the game grew and spread. Age of Empires 2 and...
No. Did you notice that something was maybe missing there a bit? I think it's called a bit of a like Age of Empires. And it was even a certain addendum. And do you know what it is? Online. That actually is a franchise game. Where the hell is it? I mean, like, just leaving out game like that from your history reel of the whole game. A whole full-on entry. Like, wow. Wow, that takes a certain girl to actually do that, but nonetheless, apparently they want to be forgetting about that. And by the way, if you're interested, Age of Empires Online is quite a bit alive. It's playable for free on Project Celeste. I'm gonna be giving some link into the description below and whatnot, but you can Google Project Celeste, Age of Empires Online, you're gonna be getting it. They even add in expansions, new civilizations actually. So it is very much alive. There are tournaments in that, show matches, streams. It very much is on. And kind of this omission here, that's why I was kind of pausing already before in the timeline, because it's like straight nothing here, right? Even the HD and E is not here, but nonetheless, the Age of Empires Online is very strange omission to me. So yeah, that's apparently a thing, no? Well, poor Age of Empires Online community. It wasn't well received back then, because it was a bit ahead of its time with the microtransactions and everything. But nonetheless, they somewhat really fixed it after. Temista, for example, was good at it, if you remember, and other players, Zeraton, I'm thinking currently, who is playing Age of Empires 4 and others. But yeah, well, unfortunately, that is somewhat not important part of history for them. Sorry for the community.
Established itself across the world. The popularity of the game grew and spread. Age of Empires 2 and 3 were re-released on Steam, but it wasn't enough. Fans needed more. More empires, more worlds to conquer. So when Microsoft told people to ask me anything online, fans jumped in and asked, could we please have more Age of Empires? And Microsoft replied, how many empires do you need? In
2017, do you think that there is something missing here again? Do you think there is some game that actually hasn't been noticed here? I'm gonna help you. It's called Age of Mythology, and it's having a certain addendum called Extended Edition. And there was even a DLC, Tale of the Dragon. Where the hell is that? Nowhere. So they are talking about HD, but Extended Edition is just again completely left out. It was an unmitigated disaster. Frankly, HD wasn't too much better, but it was simply having such a player base that it kind of like survived even that quality. Extended Edition was, no, whoever was there with launch and years after, not only the past few years when they somewhat at least made it playable and reasonable, even though it's still worse than the original game. But for like one event, it's okay. Team games, as far as I know, are quite a bit of a disaster still. It's laggy and, oh, well, you're gonna be having some experience. Maybe you are fine with it, you are having okay experience with that. Other people are not, but fact remains, original game just unfortunately, or unfortunately, depends how you look at that, is still a better game. It did massively hurt the whole community when Extended Edition was launched in a shape that it was. It removed players from the original game from Woobly, and they never came back. Plenty of them left the game. So yeah, unfortunately, if it would have been good quality, it would have been a great thing, but it just kind of like was a bit of a grave digger for the community. And that's also why most probably we had to be waiting for such a long time. No, most probably, definitely, as Microsoft was doing its very, very best to ignore the game for all the years. Not like ignore it, it's like really purposefully push it aside. Until now, when it's time to apparently, well, pick up the money from the ground, of course, and continue with more games, because they obviously kind of ran out of other games to remaster. So there's nothing much more for them to do besides Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds, which might be tied with Disney somewhat because of the rights, but that would be an interesting game for them to make as well and remake, so I'm thinking it might come somewhere. But nonetheless, yeah, they don't have too many other things to right now actually touch. But yeah, just wanted to be commenting upon the obvious omission of Extended Edition here on a kind of like announcement day of DE, effectively, or Retold. Gonna be hard to be getting used to it. So yeah, it's a bit concerning in general, and interesting approach towards the community, but if you follow me, you know I'm not surprised by that.
17, the torch was passed to a new band of innovators. These new explorers scoured the corners of the Earth, bringing forth an accuracy and detail never seen before.
We took what was already pretty incredible and just made it even better.
No, well, plenty of people will be speculating about that.
The first definitive edition was released.
In all aspects.
The original Age of Empires had been given graphical improvements, 4K resolution,
yeah, the graphics are nice.
And a remastered soundtrack.
The original, though, it does have quite a bit of its charm as well. I like it as well.
Now using the most modern technology.
The definitive edition started with looking at something that was already going on.
A small group of passionate guys at the H2 community were working on this unofficial expansion for Age of Empires 2.
On the 20-year anniversary of the release of
bit of a misleading also then, just right now gonna be going back. As you do have that, there was basically just like a communication and marketing on the improved graphics, which was quite a bit misleading, because they were comparing like a complete like base resolution and the lowest resolution effectively for the original game, which wasn't the only one you could be getting. You were getting higher resolutions, you were then getting even the U-patch, for example, for even modern resolutions. So no, it wasn't entirely fair to the original game, but nonetheless, the graphics, I personally kind of like what they actually did with the definitive edition. So yeah, just kind of like wanted to mention that it's There are some
On the
caveats.
20-year anniversary of the release of Age of Kings, a definitive edition of that game was released. It featured new AI and 4K resolution that allowed players to see their unfinished castles in crystal clear detail. It also introduced in-game colorblind options, expanding accessibility. Innovation that continued with the definitive edition of Age of Empires 3. Along with other upgrades,
of course, releases of all the definitive editions unmitigated disasters as far as quality went. This of course depended how much and how many influences there were like behind it, which was quite a bit of a clear difference between Age of Empires 2 and 3 especially. Right now pausing it again so that we don't get too far, I guess. Because basically, if you, I don't know if you follow in, but Age of Empires 2 obviously has a huge community, already did have huge following. It's the sole reason why Age of Empires 4 and all the remasters even happened. That's quite a bit clearer, and what I was trying to say. Otherwise, then he just doesn't know the history of the franchise and the community and everything. No, and nonetheless, Age of Empires 2, it was a bad release. I'm not going to mention one that was the same, but 2, it wasn't really smooth at all. There were just plenty problems, plenty bugs. It was really broken, frankly. And well, through the power of all the influencers and big streamers that obviously were kind of like tied to the franchise already to a certain degree, and obviously they just even wanted it to be good and wanted it to be going forward. So you can kind of make all kinds of ideas and thoughts about that. Yeah, well, some people are doing it for money because, of course, they know they need to be on the good side. Some simply don't want to be making enemies. There were some that did point out the mistakes and problems, but frankly, definitely not enough. And some were kind of pretending that they are, but in an apologetic way, as in like, no, there are some things that maybe could be done better, as in something is completely broken and not working. And yeah, well, but I like the game, so... No, nonetheless, fact remains that 3 years after release, the game is still lacking, as opposed to the user patch version of the original game that is still played on Woobly, even with, by the way, the definitive edition civilizations and the extra ones. It's not anything illegal, you just simply have to be having the original bought. You have to be buying the game so that you can be playing on Woobly with them, but just kind of like letting you know in case you're interested, you can play there as well. But well, of course, the big thing is that you have the servers here, and that is a huge thing for people, that they don't have to be lagging, for example, with playing with Chinese or other people, simply because of geographical distances and all kinds of problems with connections in different countries. So yeah, servers, more than enough to be actually like pushing the game to be the main part of the community, even of course there are still plenty of people elsewhere. But nonetheless, yeah, that's the main reason why we are most probably not playing on the original game with user patch still on Woobly, because that game simply is smoother gameplay. I was even streaming some games there about like a year ago maybe, and frankly the game just kind of feels better, even from casting. Pathfinding is better, and all kinds of other things as well. The graphics depends, of course. Yeah, already at this point we are used to them, but the original still is quite nice. And way more easier to kind of like see things and recognize them. But yeah, well, that's because sometimes more details doesn't have to be necessarily better. Of course, there are some graphics problems. If you have followed my streams, you know about like overflowing graphics of something like a Japanese blacksmith, for example, and others. But that's kind of all water under the bridge. Currently, of course, Definitive Edition is the main part and main game and main community place, let's say, and version that is played. But well, just wanted to be mentioning that, and in combination with that, I also wanted to mention the launch of Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition, which was having legitimately better launch than Age of Empires 2. It still wasn't great, but it was legitimately better than Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition, but with the difference that Age of Empires 3 DE was heavily lambasted, even actually on reviews on Steam. It was somewhere in red numbers even, or kind of like orange, I think it mixed at max. It wasn't well received all that much. And the reason? Well, maybe you have guessed it. Influencers. Age of Empires 3 did not have the influencers that Age of Empires 2 does have. And therefore, you were having all kinds of problems with that, because nobody was therefore pushing it over. and simply there weren't kind of like that many people to tell people that it's actually okay, even if it was having problems. So it took a longer time for that to somewhat establish itself, even though of course there was a clear adoption early. So yeah, that is what I wanted to mention here, and that's gonna be tied also to the Age of Mythology. Be very careful what people you listen to and what they are trying to tell you, because there are going to be differences in that, and based on how interested and they, for example, are in the game's success, especially monetarily interested, right? So be very careful and try to make your opinion on your own. I do really want to implore you, just don't believe blindly, people. Don't even believe me blindly. Simply be cautious and be critical, because you do want to be paying for a good product, right? And using a good product and supporting good product.
And heroes emerged.
The Viper taking home his first Red Bull Challenge.
And in 2021, a new chapter in the legend was released with Age of Empires.
Well, supposed to be replacing Age of Empires 2.
Yeah,
didn't really happen, did it?
The Imperial Age, with stunning
Game
graphics,
somewhat improved,
vast
launch
landscapes,
again.
and new
The game
ways
was
to
at
talk
least
their
playable at launch really well, but still many problems, and it's even a year after still trying to find its footing, but it's much better than it used to be. But yeah, that didn't prove to be that much of a superb game as I think in the Age of franchise hoped for. But I'm thinking that it still probably did quite well monetarily, in my opinion. So yeah, that is one that you can be seen developing today. It also gonna be a bit of a feature later here. So that was Timeline, Age of Empires Online, Age of Empires, or the Age of Mythology Extended Edition. Well, somewhat missing from that. And here we go to the, of course, juicy meat here. So, Age of Mythology Retold has been announced. You know that Age of Mythology community has been waiting, hopefully, for a definitive edition. Community, yes, me quite a bit less, because of my experience with all the definitive editions and the devs. So I'm way more cautious than everybody else, because I simply know what most probably is gonna be coming. No original game with updated graphics, features and more. This is very interesting wording right about now. Note again, missing extended edition, so they want to be forgetting that. And we're working hard to bring you the glory of original game. And well, there wasn't too much of a talk about the Titans, for example, in this timeline, right? I don't think there was even any mention of Titans, or was there? Wait a second, let's have a look.
Travel to mythological realms, interacting with
Now there is a
creatures of
Titan
lore,
at least
as
here.
the Atlantean war hero Arkantos. They traveled across known and unknown worlds, from Atlantis to Egypt to the Norselands. Ever since its release, players have longed for a definitive edition of Age of Mythology, but it is
So, there will be probably Titans, even though they were specifically mentioned as the expansion pack. So I guess the others, they weren't all actually mentioned there, but for example for Age of Empires 3 they did mention them. So it's a bit interesting. EE is left out, that's gonna be left in the dirt. So therefore there's a very big question if that's gonna be something with Chinese because of that, with the Tail of the Dragon, and also because of the name of Retold, because that's very much unclear at this point. It's probably at this point for us to watch this. Oh shoot. Greek, Norse, Egyptians. Now this is something that is very interesting, Very interesting. Not only are we missing, of course, the extended edition, but it seems like we're missing Atlanteans. That's a Greek temple, that's a Zeus, all of it. Nothing really here. That's obviously Thor's hammer, so that's the Norse. Aegis. What was here? There's something interesting. Let's make it a bit less loud. I don't think there's anything to be seen there. But yeah, at this point, again, the wording is very interesting in this sentence. To the original game with updated graphics. Almost looks like this might be just vanilla. Almost looks like it might be just the original Age of Mythology without Titans. Without the Chinese. Huh. That would be very interesting and curious actually variant. That they will be basically keeping extended edition as the Titans. And they will be then doing vanilla. That's so weird. Or they will be doing vanilla and they will be... That would be kind of weird model then. And they will be then doing next... potentially actually... the expansions as extra DLCs. Wow, that would be kind of greedy on one hand. On the other, I don't know what to actually expect from that. But this is very strange. The teaser is very strange in this. Almost looks like it might be just vanilla. Remaster. And no, I frankly don't know what to think about it. It would be very strange approach. Something like Heroes of Might and Magic 3 that also got released and remastered only Restoration of Erathia. Without Armageddon's Blade and Shadow of Death. But I'm thinking that was the reason because the code was lost or some such. I highly doubt that's gonna be the case here. Especially if they already worked on EE with that, right? So this is either a somewhat misleading teaser and sentence, or we're in for a bit of a surprise still. This is really kind of interesting, but definitely clear that Extended Edition is left in the dirt. That's to be forgotten, same as AoE Online. No, nonetheless, so what are we gonna be therefore expecting from Age of Empires or Age of Mythology, therefore Retold? Retold is also interesting because it could be theoretically meaning... I'll be probably just gonna let in something run behind in case you are interested, but we have them some kind of a nice video. There's nothing long here, so... I guess this one, for example, can be let in run here on behind. That's going to be a bit of an interesting, therefore, thought about that. If that's going to happen or not. No, and as I mentioned, I'm going to be really cautious about the developers because all the definitive editions were quite a bit problematic before and on launch. I'm expecting that at launch it's going to be already not entirely too awesome and great because none of the previous ones were, and they already are saying that there's going to be gameplay actually changes. Okay, at this point just kind of reminds me. You do have also Age of Myth, you have even a Twitter for Age of Mythology. So that's very interesting because they want to be therefore dividing Age of Empires and Age of Mythology. I don't exactly understand that, why they are doing this. It's making kind of little sense to me. But it almost looks like that there's going to be a whole lot more kind of like an extra franchise planned for that. So more things, maybe Age of Mythology too. Because otherwise, why would you be doing this, right? Thinking it's not making too much of a great sense in general. Why this would be actually done this way. So, yeah. This is also something to maybe look at. Can see right now joined October 2022. So it wasn't entirely all that new. All that is rather new, frankly. No, and then Gods Will Return, Heroes Will Rise, blah blah blah. Retold is coming. Definitive Edition treatment to Age of Mythology. The game will feature beautiful graphics, of course. Updated gameplay. I'm absolutely dreading that already. And more. Stay tuned, because updated gameplay means so many things where it could be going wrong. So damn many things where it could actually go wrong. And it probably will, based on the experience. So you just have to be hoping it's not gonna be at least a complete disaster. Frankly, Age of Mythology doesn't have user patch as Age of Empires 2, as I mentioned earlier. So there is quite a bit of a solid reason to hope that it's not gonna be too much of a high hurdle to be better than the original if they're gonna be putting some real effort into it. But yeah, well, let's not gonna say hope until you are over the hurdle. Again, we say check. So yeah, careful about that. But nonetheless, it's basically there are some things, there are problems in Age of Mythology. I mean, like everybody who has played that and has watched my streams, for example, you're gonna be knowing what pathfinding is having some issues here and there for sure. That definitely can be improved, even though that's also the most finicky one. It can be getting quite a bit funny, getting through buildings and whatnot. So while there are some very rare glitches in Age of Mythology, I'm very much afraid if it's not gonna be getting worse, if they are gonna be touching that, which they probably will, then they're gonna be adding something like attack move improvements, because the original doesn't work too well in Age of Mythology. Almost doesn't work actually. The expert players. So that's something that's gonna be coming, probably some production queues and bigger selection boxes, of course. For Age of Mythology with like 30 units or how many you can actually select max. Something like that. What else could they be actually improving in the game? No. Balance, obviously. That's also another kind of like maybe a bit of a point of concern for me. Because I'm thinking that this is going to be at this point coming. So therefore get some video going again, I guess. Or maybe it can be just getting some music. That also is going to be thematic for Age of Mythology. That could be problematic because it's going to be most probably handled by the EE team. But I would be liking if it was more handled akin to what is done with Wobbly Balance patch, which is way more conservative and trying to maintain kind of the design of the original game. Whereas the EE team is not afraid to be making big changes. Like for example the new units and the Kopesh and Reginlave, the archers simply, with also the onagers. So you really... No! Don't think that you actually want to be going in that direction. In my opinion, simply the original designers, they somewhat knew what they were doing and they created an iconic game. So who are we to kind of right now go and sweepingly change it? That's kind of same as when you're gonna be adapting books to TV series or movies, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, you name it, right? So if you were so great now, somebody would be probably adapting your work and you wouldn't be adapting somebody else's, right? So thinking that a bit of a modesty would be nice in that. So I'm slightly hoping that this is going to be a bit more conservative and we're gonna be keeping the kind of like character of the civilizations, because there's a reason why Greeks do not have healing, for example, because they're having strong units. There's a purposeful reason for that. And same as for basically the specific ways how the civilizations work, like the Norse, building with the units. There are simple reasons for that. Plenty of them all across and all around. So hopefully they're going to be a bit careful. I'm gonna be trying to somewhat actually... I don't want to steer or anything like that. Simply kind of motivate and I guess maybe post along those lines. I'm doubtful I'm gonna be having any kind of access or influence. So I can just kind of like post somewhere and try to push in the correct way. So I'm hoping they're gonna be listening at least somewhat and they're gonna be more reasonable people. Because otherwise I'm expecting there's gonna be of course involvement of some expert players. I'm hoping for example Chrono JJ is gonna be involved, Rebels Rising, hopefully he's gonna be the one doing the maps and the map scripting. Because he has done God's work, literally, on all these maps and potentially even the Mega Random, for example, that you're streaming as tournament and plenty things like that. He added even all the observer tools. That guy needs to be in. It's just like, if he's not, I'm gonna be disappointed personally. Same as Chrono JJ, who has done tons for the game, but not only done, he just understands the game on a level that not many people do, and it's very important to be actually making any kind of remaster like this justice. So yeah, based on the fact that Forgotten Empires are gonna be working on this most probably, they did Tale of the Dragon. No, I guess everybody can be having their ideas. They tried, sure, but we do know that, well, it would be a good idea to listen more to the community and some experienced people with the game, I guess. Had to be probably good. No, and for what more could be done, plenty new maps obviously can be, I'm thinking they might be adopting community maps that are right now even established already. Plenty things like, I don't know, the painted deserts, what else, for example, like Arctic ponds, whatever else. I'm gonna try Tropical Mirage, or there are plenty of maps simply made in the community and by the community. The Mega Random, Frozen Wastes. There are many things that could be taken into the game, so hopefully that is gonna be at minimum inspiration, if not somewhat taken a bit more directly. No, and of course there is also right now the Aztec Civilization that has been already produced by the community, and that is fairly popular from what I have seen. So that is also one that could be brought over. Let's find it and showcase it in case you haven't heard of that. Return of the Gods. It's even actually on ModDB. Yep, it's also on Steam, so you can find it on there in the workshop. It's fairly popular, even a tournament is currently going on in there. I think it's being streamed by people. My Iron Maiden and others, if I'm not mistaken, so that is something that you want to be possibly getting into if you are interested. Maybe right about now having okay, what is gonna be right now, some nice trailer for this.
Quetzalcóatl, Dios primordial, creador de la tierra,
Do we show the game or is it?
Y construyan más rápido los edificios económicos. Tu sabiduría les dará las herramientas para aumentar la resistencia.
Can say that with special units they are having
el regalo del maíz.
all kinds of graphics changes, of course, simply new civilization edit. So they might be going the Forgotten Empires way, and the Forgotten expansion. Therefore, maybe just kind of like adopting this into the game. That could be a thing. But maybe I was already noticed. Kinda good point, that maybe it might be a bit of a problem because of the sacrifices, that maybe Microsoft might be a bit too skittish about that, based on policies. So I'm not really sure if that's gonna be really making it through. But, well, nonetheless, that's some kind of inspiration what maybe and possibly we could be expecting from that. I think there's a somewhat of a chance, and non-zero one, that this could somewhat happen. And of course, you are having plenty other religions. Issue is, you probably have to be touching the old ones that are already somewhat defunct, because if you be touching, I don't know, Islam, even Christianity and others, it might be opening all kinds of cans of worms the size of Shai Hulud and others. So I don't think they would be wanting to actually touch that all that much, so that is not entirely very much likely. So we'll see what's all going to happen. Can right now also maybe just kind of having some look into, for example, Reddit, on some kind of reactions of people. Otherwise, of course, you're having reactions of people all across on Discords, on RTS Sanctuary and elsewhere. So, well, there are already gonna be some interesting reactions here, for example. Yeah, well, classic. Some Force and Coomers here as well. Yep, people quite a bit thrilled about it. They have been for a long time asking for that. So it's going to be quite a bit of a hype thing. It's gonna be taking... I'm quite fairly surprised they actually went for it already now, because it's gonna be taking the thunder of all the other announcements, absolutely. Age of Mythology is gonna be the biggest thing, and that's gonna be quite possibly even hurting Age of Empires 4, so I'm slightly surprised by that. That they actually did already go for it. That it wasn't some like a... I think that the teaser in the timeline would have been enough. Yeah, teaser, and then like a few months after they would be actually doing their actual teaser. But well, they already went for it now because of, I think, in simply the 20th anniversary on Sunday, 30th October. Gonna be, by the way, trying to do some anniversary stream for that, if you're gonna be interested on my Twitch. So some games, probably some old school games. We'll see what I'm gonna be figuring out to do. But yeah, people quite a bit right about now. Ready for all of that. And it's it now. After how bad E was, I'm not too bothered. I'm happy to play original on Woobly. Yep, that is right about now the big worry, and frankly a huge one for me as well, because simply the experience with the previous definitive editions, I already mentioned that, it is clear. It is absolutely clear, and with the games and the patches and everything, they still are having problems fixing all the problems they even introduced themselves into the definitive editions on 2D, 3D, kind of like constantly creating new issues. For example, right now they hotfixed something on Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition and broke recorded games, so yeah, that's also fun. No, and that's also another part, for example, that if you are going to be having that for regular patches, maybe if they are going to be, probably so, then it's gonna be a problem for the Reds. And therefore the community might be suffering from that a lot, as it is actually in AoE 2 and 3. So I'm really worried about it, because currently we have a way to basically use any kind of recorded games we wish, besides like about a few first or year or two of extended edition, before the versioning came there as well. But yeah, that's something. Something. And well, we are going to be maybe looking also on the next one. Yeah, just a confirmation here. Tango is D. Just people are thinking that 2 is not entirely what they want, but I'm thinking that 2 might be coming, because they have Age of Empires 4 and they have the new engine, so why not use that for another game? Will be cheap. Because engine is the kind of like hardest to make and the most expensive, so I'm thinking it would be well advised to utilize it even further. And the new Twitter handle, in my opinion, is gonna be pointing to something a bit deeper. So I'm thinking that AOM 2 will be coming. I'm really thinking that it really will. No, but nonetheless. Yeah, well, the old ones, Babylonians, whatever, Sumerians, Hittites. Gonna be interesting to see what extra potentially civilization could be coming up. But, well, we're also gonna be seeing what happens maybe with Age of Empires 1, which hasn't received any new civilizations yet. But Age of Empires 3 did, so it's quite likely and not impossible. There's gonna be something more coming, even though, of course, civilizations are quite a bit different here in Age of Mythology, so there could be, well, quite something else actually going on here, because it's gonna be harder to make the civilizations in the first place, right? No, so I guess that maybe we somewhat talked about Age of Mythology, some concerns. You can kind of course, choose your version if you're gonna be concerned, if you're gonna be hyped. I'm thinking that probably most of you are going to be hyped, I'm imagining. So we'll see when we're gonna be getting that. There is no news about release date or anything. In my opinion, they just barely started, because there have been any leaks whatsoever or any notions and kind of like information, whatever else. So they have to be working at that, in my opinion, at max like half a year. And from what I was also saying, that simply they do need to be working on Age of Empires 4 still in the product life cycle. They still do have some time for that. I'm thinking that really it's gonna be coming at max next autumn, maybe even year after somewhat. Because I'm thinking they're gonna be early in production, and this is probably going to be just the only thing they have, the teaser and some kind of touch-ups on the trailers. I'll be really surprised if, for example, the Sunday show match that is on Red Bull would be Age of Mythology. I'll be very surprised by that. I'm thinking it's making a bit more sense. It might be Age of Empires 2 on consoles to get audience and advertisement for Age of Empires 4 on Sunday again. But maybe I'm gonna be wrong. Maybe it is going to be AOM. Master of Freedom is in Heidelberg, developer of Definitive Edition here, definitely. Who knows? Maybe it's gonna be some kind of showcase. Maybe it's gonna be on the original game. Probably not EE, right, based on what we have seen. So we'll see, I guess, on Sunday what's going to happen in between the semifinals and the finals of the Age of Empires 4 Red Bull tournament. It's gonna be an unknown show match, so something's gonna happen there. Maybe it's gonna be some kind of close release. I'll be really doubting that though, but whatever. Possibilities, I guess, are always there. No, and therefore, feel free to therefore share what you think is gonna happen, what you would want to be done with the game, and how. Not sure if maybe gonna be doing some videos with my ideas, or community ideas, who knows what kind of coverage you're gonna be doing and, well, what kind of time you're gonna be able to commit to that and what's going to happen. But yeah, well, that's therefore the Age of Mythology part, I imagine. So let's again, at the end, enjoy. Where was I actually? Here. Enjoy the trailer. Or teaser. No gameplay footage whatsoever, by the way. Just kinda confirms that they might not be really far into the development at all. Okay, it's a temple to the right, that's some piece of the temple, I guess, as well. I'm just gonna try to see if there's something funny here, apparently not. I don't think there's anything hidden in it. The Retold is very interesting. Maybe if they're gonna be not ditching the Chinese and whatever, it might be trying to do basically like, because of Retold, they might be trying to do some somewhat complete rework of the civilization. Frankly, that has been asked for a lot, that the Chinese are reworked, so maybe that's what the Retold is gonna be meaning. Zero idea, zero clue. But nonetheless, further news therefore, as Age of Mythology, therefore we have probably talked enough about that, and we have basically no knowledge on anything, so we'll see what happens. Who's gonna be working on that, who's gonna be asked to put some input into it, which will be then further getting ignored to a certain degree, as well, unfortunately, it also constantly is in the franchise, asking for input, but then entirely using it. But, well, hopefully, that's all we can do. Hope for the best, right? But, yeah, well, if there are gonna be servers, then that's going to be most probably the kind of new center of the community. He didn't manage it because it was simply not good enough in any kind of way. So we are still playing the competitive community on Woobly as the best version of the game so far, and it seems like this one, it's probably going to be the new therefore home, because again the servers are going to be enough as they are for Age of Empires 2 and 3, so it's very likely it will be. And it kind of brings me actually back to kind of like the multiplayer client. That's also something that I'm long-term criticizing on the remasters, because they simply are bad, the clients and bare bones, at least on 1 and 2. Third is a bit better, at least a bit into the theme of the game, but still, the original SO on both Age of Empires 3 and especially right now in Age of Mythology was so great, so ahead of its time. I can't even say how much. If you haven't played original SO, then you might not appreciate it, but that was probably one of the best multiplayer clients I've played on, and it was way ahead of its time, and still would be one of the greatest today. So if they could just like replicate SO with everything, the expert chat, with the statistics, with a quick match screen and everything, it would be awesome. So I'm hoping they're gonna be doing definitely something better than Extended Edition. Extended Edition is kinda like, meh, kinda trying to get there but simply didn't. So I'm hoping they put more effort into it. I'll be really happy for that. SO was great and would be great to be having that back. Oh, and of course, would be liking to be having some proper statistics, by the way, which is still missing from Age of Empires 2, and it has to be done by community efforts and modding. Fortunately, right now there are some issues with AOE2.net, which is an absolutely superb web. So yeah, I'm kind of hoping that you're gonna be able to get something more proper, get recorded games and whatnot, or is it gonna have to be community again to fix it? I'm not liking that type of development. Just releasing basically like unfinished things and relying on the community to fix things. They're just like, no, not too great. But nonetheless, that's that for AOM. Now and for Age of Empires, you can right now zone out if you're not interested in the rest of it, but we're gonna be going through the announcements. Age of Empires heading to mobile. That's something that I guessed is going to happen. because simply they were hiring Chinese producers, so that's 1 and 1 into 2. So teaser trailer for a whole new way to play Age of Empires as it heads to mobile. There wasn't any kind of active mobile game, and the previous ones, as far as I remember, were quite a bit okay and active, and I think it's successful. So it was making sense that we will be having another mobile game now. Usually stunning. Build Empire on the go. Teaser as excited will be more. Ah, okay, so it's only teaser. I didn't even properly see that because I was going for dinner during that. Jesus Christ. Teaser is nice though, the graphics, the movie. Wait a second, that's legit it? Oh, that's legit it, okay. No, yeah, well, great. So, mobile game announced, alright. So you probably don't have to be stopping here, everybody has a phone, I guess. You know, right, what this is about. And, well, nonetheless, Age of Empires 4 Anniversary Edition, that is of course the big part, that has been also teased and whatever, getting the new civilizations in here. And basically this is the kind of like re-release that I was thinking they should have been making with introducing the modding and whatnot earlier in the year. I think they should have been kind of focusing on that, or frankly they should have been just releasing simply the game full with proper features. As for example, interestingly, this game was pushed ahead of its schedule, released as a pre-alpha, definitely. And for example, Company of Heroes 3 by Relic, that was supposed to be released in like a month or whatever, 14 days in November, but that was pushed back into next year. So we can kind of see that this was pushed by Microsoft, because they have a certain schedule probably, what they wanted to be kind of going for, and no, they wanted to be holding true to it, and they paid the price. Because if they release the game as it is now, we probably have a whole lot better chance on the game being better received. But the problem with that is that, let's maybe kind of like later on in between. The problem with that is that plenty of the changes they made were based on player feedback and how the game kind of was played and the community developed around it. So question is if they will be actually able to fix the things and improve them without that feedback, and it's very much possible not, because there was plenty of feedback already even during the betas and everything, and it's still released with the broken things and problematic things without hotkeys and stuff. And it almost looked like they didn't believe that people really want hotkeys, which is something I was worrying about based on all kinds of surveys and how they were talking about everything, that they have certain preconceptions about the game and how they want to make that. And unfortunately I was quite a bit right in most of it, how actually they do think about things and what they're gonna be going into it with. So yeah, I'm not really sure if even just the year later release will be all that great for them and from them. They simply needed to be having. They simply needed to be having. Sorry for the lagging, but you know, my computer not the strongest, obviously. That's gonna bring me back. I'm hoping that Age of Mythology Definitive Edition won't be having too much high requirements. I'll be liking to stream it as well. So please, optimization, please, pretty please. But I can stream 3D, so hopefully. But yeah, not sure if they will be able to make it without the input from the players and the actual experience from the gameplay. Seems like the designers themselves didn't entirely have that much of a correct idea what game to make. And as again, if you have been following me and listening to my streams, for example, and posts, then you do know that what kind of ideas I hold on that. It really seems like they just ignored the previous 20 years of experience. They could have produced a great game, but they just said, no, we're better. We know better. We're gonna be making the same mistakes again because we think that it's better. Only, of course, to be forced to change things anyway after. So, no kinds of questions there. But nonetheless, Malians and Ottomans are gonna be arriving as the free civilizations for the new players. Or for the new players, for the original game owners. Of course, the anniversary update with some challenges, civilizations, achievements, features and more. Reworked water, for example, right now. That's also interesting how it's going to be working out. having a strong feeling it might be heading into simply who's gonna be having better civilization bonuses is gonna be the OP Civ as it is in Age of Empires 2. Simply might be as that. We'll see how it develops, but the kind of like original water was quite a bit broken balance-wise. Solo ranked, team games are also gonna be right now ranked. Interesting that it has to be taken a year, right? But well, it is what it is at this point. And can be right now even the update notes. I'm gonna be going through that. You can be seeing that on the Age of Empires 4 web. But I wanted to be seen right about now on Steam. What is actually the Anniversary Edition cost? Because I'm not entirely certain how it is with... Okay, it's not auto playing good. If it's going to be for free, really, the extra civilizations or not. Digital Deluxe, Anniversary Collection. Okay, that's basically like everything that you can be thinking of. Age of Empires 4, Digital Deluxe, Upgrade Pack. Soundtrack, unit charts, compilation, jitter painter, correct lines. Yeah, okay, some extra goodies. Or is that gonna be the only way you can get? Okay, it seems like that is the same one. Franchise. That's interesting that it's actually 2 times there. It seems like it's the only way to actually buy the game. Okay, so it's gonna be for free. Because I wasn't really sure on how it is going to be. Because the wording was kinda strange in the announcement. It almost looked like that it might be free for the originals. And here it might be higher price with them. And then it's gonna be like an extra DLC effectively you pay for. But right now it wasn't done. So I guess that maybe at this point it's gonna be there for maybe just testing of some free-to-play. Stormgate might be actually forcing them into it from Frost Giant, and it's somewhat rumored that that was originally maybe even a plan that they were wanting to be doing it somehow. Maybe you're gonna be aiming for it and towards that to be having like multiplayer for free, and you're gonna be having sold DLCs for like campaigns and single player. We already do have the cosmetics edit for Age of Empires 3, right? So microtransactions are coming in way higher numbers and different varieties. Definitely there will be campaign for Age of Empires 4 because we do have Forgotten Empires working on Age of Empires 4 right now. So I'm guessing they're gonna be doing that with new civilizations. So there's some kind of future for that. And I'll be expecting it might be simply paid campaigns coming up down the line. Season 3 anniversary, that's a new video. Yep, okay.
Welcome to a new season of Age of Empires 4, complete with brand new civilizations, the Malians and Ottomans. Join us in celebrating the monumental 25th anniversary of Age of Empires in Season 3 Anniversary. Ranked seasons evolve. You've shown off your solo combat abilities in 1v1 ranked games. Now you'll be able to team up with a friend and compete for top titles together in Team Ranked for the very first time. What's a new season without fresh rewards? Earn them through Team Ranked matches, Solo Ranked, or as part of the 25th Anniversary Seasonal Event Challenges, and by gaining mastery with the new Ottoman and Malian civilizations. Then, in December, the first ever mini-event Ton of Toys, which includes a free monument. Anniversary celebrations bring new content and old friends. Sound the alarm as Photon Man makes his debut appearance, bringing with him the much-anticipated cheat system to Age 4.
Only a year after release.
You can now demand more
food, please,
with the new taunt system and
taunts again.
With
only just a year, right?
You can also unlock all new taunts throughout the season. Are you ready to battle?
Unlocking taunts. Jesus Christ, that
doesn't
seems
end
wrong.
There. We've got 8 new maps
like
joining for this birthday bash, including Mediterranean and Oasis, based on classic maps from Age of Empires 1 and 2. The Season 3 update includes highly anticipated naval gameplay improvements, deeper economic management, increased combat volatility, more intense RPS counters, and more. Additional improvements have also been made to late game AI, resource gathering, choke point, and scout improvements, as well as a number of general balance and quality of life changes.
Very interesting is the
That's just a glimpse of the exciting things coming in this Season 3 anniversary celebration. We look forward to celebrating the first anniversary of Age of Empires 4 alongside 25 wonderful years of Age of Empires with each and every one of you. Don't forget to bring the party balloons and streamers.
No, with the taunts, I'm thinking that closing them even behind the achievements is possibly going to be maybe some precursor to something like taunt packs being sold. There have been a lot of talk about that in the community. You do have even already mods like that, like for example streamer packs with their taunts, right? And kind of like MBL Vululu, right? In Age of Empires 2 and other things like that. So that might be another way to add microtransactions, another way to monetize the game. So I'm really thinking that we are on the verge of some serious monetization of the games. So we'll see how it's gonna be spreading and how far they're gonna be willing to go. No, you can be having all kinds of opinions on that. Not entirely too friend of that, especially if it's a paid game below that. So maybe that's gonna be just like speeding up possibly some free-to-play multiplayer and then the DLCs on top of it, or microtransactions rather. I call them DLCs, but even for example the cosmetics are already microtransactions on Age of Empires 3, of course. It's nothing else, so we'll see where this is gonna be there for lead-in. No, and we are gonna be having the events, of course, in Age of Empires 2 and 3, so you can join that. Of course in 4 as well, but that's kind of obvious. But celebratory cakes, casas, capybaras, and more coming up. No, and then, well, yeah, going to be, of course, having the 3 Definite Edition releases, huge update plus cosmetic packs, just gonna right now mention that. No, not all the cosmetics are even new in the packs, they're even taken from previous events, which is also kind of not entirely great, in my opinion. If you be kind of having events and then even selling them for money later, it kind of like just depends. If you're gonna be selling them in the events as, or kind of selling them to your audience in the events as exclusive, then that's kind of wrong then to try to sell them. If you don't, then it's kind of like, why not? I don't exactly have the problem at that point, but it really, you should be really careful about how you're gonna be talking about those, because there's nothing else than annoyance when you think that you are having some special achievement that cannot be gained by anybody else, and then suddenly the competition decides to sell them, right? Or competition company decides to sell them. So no, we'll see. They were saying they are not gonna be microtransactions in the Age of games. They said they won't be adding civilizations. They said plenty of things. As you can see, well, plenty of things are also changing. So we might be on a roller coaster right about now here with the microtransactions. So we'll see where it's coming. In my opinion, as I mentioned, there will be campaign DLCs. There might be probably into all the other games that's gonna be moving with the cosmetics. The taunts will be probably coming. Maybe some map packs even. I would be thinking more than map packs. It might be something like a historical battle packs, probably. It's gonna be more likely in my opinion. And it's also gonna be interesting where this is gonna be leading, because it might be possibly leading into all kinds of unsafe revenues, like trying to limit the modding of the community, because the games are highly moddable, especially the original ones, the older ones. And the community has done a lot of things, and better than them, most often, and very often. So are they gonna be trying to cull it somehow, limit certain ways of modding? They were, for example, doing something like that with the 256 times mod on upgrades in Age of Empires 2, locking it behind an event. So who knows what's going to happen, really? So anybody's guess currently. They probably already do know. Or they could be trying to go into Bethesda way, and that is monetizing community content, right? Just kind of like as they tried to do and did, kind of like, I don't know how it's right now called, the mod center or whatever. Simply having community mods and selling them as somewhat half official extensions, right? And DLCs. So if that's gonna be coming, they already did that basically with Forgotten in Age of Empires 2 with the DLC. So are they gonna be doing the same with the Aztecs in Age of Mythology? something here. Up in the air, really, what could happen. But nonetheless, the monetization hunger is definitely there from Microsoft currently. Well, still not enough age. Yeah, some participation in other games. I think this is State of Decay or whatever. Can't say right about now. Forza is gonna be having Age of Empires in it. Other merchandise you can be getting some new one. Some insert coin, not sure what it is. And apparently some further things in the Xbox Gear Shop. So up to you if you want to be going there. And of course becoming the insider for all the info. Recommended that if you are into Age of franchise to be able to participate in all kinds of betas and stuff. So of course up to you. No, and what is interestingly missing here, I think they just forgot about it because it was kind of a bit of a footnote, frankly, in the stream. So listen.
You won that, but I've got one more piece of news to give you. I shall take the floor now. So for any Age of Empires fans out there, we've got one more bit of news. We will be bringing Age of Empires Definitive Edition into the Age of Empires 2 DE engine, and we are going to have more information to share on this in 2023. I do, however, don't have anything to add about this. I don't know what's going on.
That's a chunky fella.
He is chunky enough that I do not understand how they use the stairs. I shall investigate later on.
Yeah, but we are not done.
No.
You all are going to love this performance by...
Nope. And therefore, that is that Age of Empires 1 Definitive Edition is going to be moved to the 2D engine. Very interesting. That is going to be the only announcement for Age of Empires 1 on the 25th anniversary of Age of Empires 1. I was expecting they're going to be doing something like DLC, for example, or maybe free-to-play multiplayer or something along those lines to be testing that, as they are testing microtransaction in 3. They could be testing free-to-play multiplayer here maybe, but nope. They're just gonna announce this, and they're gonna just... It's an interesting change. It's gonna be massive change for the gameplay, of course. But what could be behind that? There already are some interesting thoughts that maybe they could be actually doing it with the reason of adding DLCs, because they might be having better infrastructure already in place for Age of Empires 2, and therefore they might be a bit more likely to be wanting to therefore, or kind of likely, they're just gonna think that it's maybe easier to port 1 into 2 than add Civilization into 1. It'd be kind of funny if actually that were really the case, but who knows, maybe that actually is a real thing. So really kind of like tough to say if that's gonna be a thing. But there is definitely something that is maybe to be expected therefore that once it's gonna be through, apparently 2023, there are gonna be some news, so maybe next year it's gonna be released somewhere. And they might be therefore adding some more civilizations to game, because it has been quite a bit forgotten again in the past, and therefore people are also asking for some support for it, which definitely, in my opinion, deserves, and some more love. So we'll see what's gonna happen with this game of the franchise. Maybe, I don't remember actually who I was talking about with that, maybe with Chrono, maybe with somebody else. Maybe it was on some other Discord about the idea that it might be because of like maybe the DLCs there. But well, nonetheless, that is therefore a last bit of news that we actually got there. Obviously there is still something that is gonna happen on Sunday. Right now there's gonna be the Red Bull conclusion with Age of Empires 4 tournament, Age of Empires 2, and Age of Empires 1 as well, the finals there. No, and Sunday there's gonna be some show match, some secret one. I don't think it has been released yet what it's going to be. So maybe Age of Mythology, maybe it's gonna be 2, maybe 3, whoever actually knows what it's going to be. It could be anybody's guess. But I wouldn't be necessarily expecting it to be Magic Mista, because they could be playing Origin, of course, in the Age of Empires 4 tournament, and logically, playing in that tournament, having semifinals, then chill, kind of like gameplay in between of Age of Mythology, then finals, that's not happening. Unless they will be, of course, already out, which we're hoping not. I'm hoping that somebody's going to be making it through final day from AOM, either Recon, Magic, or Mista. So good luck to those guys. And, well, Age of Mythology represent, of course. So we'll see. But yeah, that seems highly unlikely. I think that's just a hopium, but maybe somebody else could be there. Master of Freedom is in Heidelberg. Who knows what's going to happen maybe with that, so possibly. As he's obviously going to be involved in the Age of Mythology, not Reloaded, Retold. I mean, like everything, different names. It's gonna be hard to remember everything properly without any kind of mistakes. But yeah, that's the thing. I think that from all the videos that I've prepared here, anniversary we did see, anniversary launch we did, yes, yes, and yes. Okay, so we probably saw all the videos at this point. So there's nothing else for us, possibly. And no, at this point, what I actually want to be right now talking about something more at the end. Yeah, maybe just kind of like comparison at the very end with what I was assuming and kind of guessing. Maybe you could have seen it on my Discord or Twitter or Facebook. In a second, I'm gonna change the window capture there for to it. So these are kind of like my personal tips, what could be happening possibly. So Age of Empires 4 as the focus, no, it kind of was, but wasn't as much of it, I'm thinking, as I was expecting maybe, but still. One of the main things, currently Age of Mythology D is really overshadowing it, exactly as I was predicting that it will, because it is going to be a huge thing. So I'm thinking that, no, hopefully they understood what it's going to do. 2, 3 further DLCs and whatnot. They didn't entirely release too many things for those. They are obviously working on further DLCs. It's in the kind of like game plans and road plans. But I was expecting they would be already teasing them. Well, apparently wrong on that. AoE 1, I wasn't expecting the port into 2. And that it's gonna be the only thing. I was expecting there's gonna be something like a new DLC because it was weirdly ignored overall. And frankly, the treatment of it as the base game for the 25th anniversary, I don't know, I just kind of don't think it's enough. I think this needed something more. Free to play, I was obviously wrong, but I'm still thinking it will be coming somewhere. They already embarked upon that with the Age of Empires 4 Free Civilizations, so it will come somewhere. So we can rest assured it's gonna be tested in one of the Ds down the line. Or would it be with AOM? I'm doubting that. That's a game to milk. Age of Mythology Retold is a game to milk for dozens of millions of dollars. Even Extended Edition, with how completely terrible it was, still made them dozens of millions. It sold somewhere up to like 2 million pieces, which is absolutely insane considering how overpriced it is. And even with discounts, but in general, €10 more or dollars, both of it, than HD, of course, for Age of Empires 2. It's just like absolutely insane pricing. So it made them tons of money, and that's also why they didn't deserve the treatment. The community didn't deserve the treatment that it got for all the years, but yeah, well, we'll see what D is gonna do, how much effort they're gonna be putting into that. But they have a lot to pay back to the community. After EE, they're gonna be having to put in a lot of efforts, so good luck to all the devs. Hopefully they're not gonna be too hindered by the managers, which tend to be, even in this franchise, somewhat of an issue. No, and Age of Mythology, yeah, well, I was thinking that it's gonna be getting something, and I was guessing that it's gonna be not a release, max something like an announcement, and was kinda like wrong, or the right in that, sorry. Somewhat of a right in that. It was kind of like 50-50 if it's gonna be ignored or not, so it wasn't in the end, so it is coming. It is free money, as I said, and again, they still need to be working with AoE 4 lifecycle, so it wouldn't be coming now, so it's gonna be like next year or the year after, in my opinion, at the earliest. Don't think that's gonna be kind of other time. No, that was a speculation with moths, so something could be there for going on with Age of Mythology even further. Sunday show match, up in the air what it's going to be. No. And, well, of course, the dev talks. I was actually curiously wrong about that. I was expecting it's gonna be more about that. I think that they are releasing some videos on Facebook with dev talks, and they will for the coming week. But I was really thinking there are gonna be more discussions like that. Instead, they just gonna like play the games for 2 hours. And there was 1 hour of somewhat like teasers, basically. And very little talk. So I'm really surprised by the overall structure of the celebration stream. I was expecting more event or kind of more talks like the history line. So I think that's maybe a bit too less, or a bit less than I expected. But well, at least you get the small videos. There was interjection I saw for Age of Empires 3, and end of the video, so gonna be expecting some more devs. Hopefully someone from AOM as well. Like maybe Master of Freedom, maybe somebody else, who knows. Who is gonna be involved in there. No, and of course nothing for the EE. That was highly unlikely, frankly. They're gonna be working on that, but they kinda overdid even that. They just like straight went into ignore mode for it. Wasn't expecting that. They're gonna be completely throwing it under a bus, even though they kinda do profess somewhat of a cryptic hate or some such for the game, and they would be probably liking if it didn't exist at all. Feels that way. Nonetheless, mobile game, we correctly assume. The new game, I was kind of thinking when we were talking about it with Chrono, it could be a completely new game. Frankly, the Xbox release is effectively that, so we weren't like too wrong about it, but just weren't expecting that angle. Mobile game was clear, the Chinese producer, so that was not surprising, and in general in today's market it is not surprising, and based on the success of the previous games. No, and then further, of course, road plans, not too many of those, frankly. I was also expecting a bit more kind of light shed on things, so that's a bit weird. They're actually so secretive. I was expecting they're gonna be spilling more. Again, would be expecting some other parts. No, I'm thinking that Age of Mythology is absolutely clearly there for the winner of the attention. It was going to be always, if they're gonna be releasing it or announcing it or anything. And I'm thinking they really took a lot of thunder from Age of Empires 4 with that, therefore, from that re-release effectively they are doing. So, I don't know if they did it smart. I would have thought it might have been better to hold still Age of Mythology, but I'm thinking they forced their hand because of the 20 years. Maybe they could have just done, really, the teaser in the timeline, and doing this like half year after New Year's or whatever, doing the teaser for AOM. But they probably felt forced to it, because it even felt to me how they were posting on socials and everything. It really felt they added Age of Mythology kind of like post-scriptum, and after that it maybe wasn't even a plan in original like ideas that they had. So yeah, I'm not really that certain that they originally even planned it to be included in any kind of way. I mean, like even Red Bull, for example, that was even kinds of fun stuff. They weren't even expecting Age of Empires 1. Their original, I'm thinking, was probably also just plastered after into it. There's no 3. I think that the original plans might have been quite a bit different than what actually we are right now seeing. Who knows? But yeah, that's kind of a bit of a thing. No, and therefore, yep, I think that's gonna be probably what I also wanted to say about that. No, AOM the winner, therefore. For, I think it should have been, it would have been probably hoping that it's gonna be a bit more focused, I guess. Yep, right about. I can also do have Until Tomorrow, the trivia, the sweepstakes giveaways today, they were in the stream. And no, there's trivia on the Age of Empires channel, so go there. It's Until Tomorrow. Gonna be filling it up as well for some prices from the gear shop for some Age of Empires 4 codes, if I'm not mistaken. And there's also a prediction contest for the Red Bull if you're interested for the Age of Empires 4 on the Edit forums on the EGC host of the qualification and the B stream as well. Again, Age of Empires Online, completely forgotten and somewhat left in the dust. I wonder if that's gonna be one of those days coming back to, or that they're gonna be coming back to it. Who knows? But yeah, well, that was therefore what I was expecting, so some things right, some really not. I was apparently, even though I'm usually not expecting much from them, apparently I was expecting still too much. But as I said, I'm thinking that it's not entirely too terrible what actually got announced in general. I think that the Xbox release of the game is actually fairly fun. It's gonna be interesting what it does to the community and to the games, so that could be having some interesting ripple effects, and that's a nice kind of thing for the community. And no, Age of Mythology. Then of course all the events in AoE 2, 3, mobile game, well, who cares about that? Then have fun with that, I guess. Anniversary edition for AoE 4. I can't help they kind of botched that maybe slightly, the announcement of this, that it should have been a whole lot more of an event. the re-release in actually a decent state already with plenty of features that it needed to be having at launch. Cosmetic packs, a reason for concern in my opinion, but we'll see how far they go. No, so that's gonna be it for the talk. So hope you enjoyed. Feel free to let me therefore know all kinds of details that you might be interested therefore in, and what you'll be maybe liking me to making a video about, or if you want to be, I don't know, wanting some focus videos on what the game should be changing us, or if you have some thoughts yourself, what should be done. And definitely let me know in the comments what do you expect from the game, what you would be liking it to have, and well, what kind of thoughts you have on all that we have seen today, or of course especially on Age of Mythology, but well, whatever game floats your boat, feel free to share your thoughts on all of that. So yep, that's gonna be there for it. And well, of course, just gonna like classic plug, visit also my stream. I'm very active on that. YouTube currently has been a bit neglected, but I guess I'm gonna be trying to put some more videos. I'm having some more interesting ones in line. I want to be producing some interesting kind of like non-play video. Not gonna be spoiling it yet, but you could have seen it on my stream as well. I'm having some thoughts on content, and of course plenty of games still being streamed on my Twitch regularly every Wednesday in evening GMT. We are having Age of Mythology community games, then we are streaming Monday, Thursday always. Monday usually something like an old school strat. Thursday bit free roam and free roll, what you're gonna be streaming, and then plenty games in between. Age of Empires 2, lately Double Cup, Age of Empires 4, we were streaming Age of Mythology versus Age of Empires 3 players tournament by Give You Anxiety, so these were some interesting games. AOM represented by Symptom, Nyan, Magic, Avely, and Orc, I think it might have been. Let me right now have a quick look on that. But yeah, you can therefore find plenty of content if you wish of mine on Twitch, and well, the YouTube kinda simply depends how I get to it, so I'm really sorry I have been neglecting it. But yeah, well, unfortunately, processing the games effectively takes almost the same time as doing the streaming itself. So it's a big excuse for me, but I want to be always making it a bit special. Yeah, it was Magic, Nyan, Symptom, Avely, and Orc. Right about now, putting it on the stream as well for a bit. We have that Win Ward, there, and there. So these were the games. Magic, Nyan, Symptom, Avely, Orc, Donarty, Anxiety, Knushel Bear, Soldier, Kiliardi for Age of Empires 3. Not gonna be spoiling the result, but you can find plenty of games on my Twitch in the past broadcasts if you wish. It was a $200 prize pool, and quite a nice event by Give You Anxiety. So visit this stream as well as the host Twitch TV, exactly as you can see here. It's also having YouTube, I'm thinking, if I'm not mistaken about that. But yeah, that's therefore going to be it, and hopefully more content coming here. Not only the Manor Lords, which was by the way a great game that we tested a few weeks ago, but well, on Sunday 30th October expect Age of Mythology stream. If we're gonna be having AOM players in the finals and final day of Age of Empires 4 Red Bull, we might be streaming that as well as part of it, but I'll be liking to do some clear Age of Mythology. It's the 20th anniversary, same as we did on 15th with the Age of Empires 1. It's a really good stream, I kinda enjoy that one, so I'm gonna be trying to think of a content. Maybe feel free to also recommend something that I could be doing. So far I'm thinking some old school games and some old school recorded games on like Vanilla and others. Maybe, if I could be getting it working, maybe the demo of the game, but I'm not sure if it's gonna be working. I'm very doubtful about that because I don't have old computer that I could then capture in. I don't have that, so I'm not sure if it's gonna be possible for me. But at minimum, I'm expecting some old games, old experts, maybe my old games, if I'm gonna be able to find some good ones, or interesting ones, or maybe not even good ones, but simply something. Could be. Feel free to suggest what you'd be liking to see. But on Sunday somewhere, in the probably evening GMT, you're gonna be having some Age of Mythology. I'm expecting there gonna be other streams, so we'll see. But yeah, well, if you're gonna be stopping by, gonna be happy for that, and hopefully you're gonna be having some good time with AOM before for that already on Wednesday. So, Age of Mythology Retold coming, and plenty other things as well for the franchise, which is still heading into the future with World's Edge and Forgotten Empires and other developers. So hopefully that's all you can do now. They're gonna be doing well and better than with the previous releases and definitive editions. Maybe Age of Mythology is gonna be the one that's gonna be hitting it out of the ballpark finally. All we can do is hope. Already talked about it plenty, probably will still. You do have my opinions. I'm always wanting to be cautious and careful and kind of like comparing what people say and what they do. So don't like to be believing just like empty marketing, so please don't do either. Be very mindful of what people are gonna be telling you, what kind of interest they have in saying what they do say, aka be careful about selloutism. It's gonna come because it is already a problem in the community and it will be becoming way worse as it's gonna be coming. So yeah, I'm already slightly dreading the effects on the community, but we'll see. Maybe Microsoft learned from the Age of Empires 3 problems with the influencers and they're gonna be doubling down on it now. They're gonna be having probably help from AoE too, because plenty players played Age of Mythology. I have even some videos on YouTube of that. So that might be interesting to you. From about 2018, I think it was, at 2018 or 19. Around Christmas I was uploading some games of, I think in Tatoch was playing with somebody, not sure. He also, Doubt was Age of Mythology expert, El Lunchmaker as a nickname in the olden days. So he's also one to be probably interested in that. So I'm thinking there's gonna be a lot of push for AOM, even from the AoE to big names. But well, it's time for us, Age of Mythology guys, to, well, hopefully kind of like control the discourse. We know a lot more about the game and the community, right? But hopefully it's gonna be voices of reason and not of all kinds of other motivations. So yeah, be vigilant, be cautious, and well, let's hope for the best with Age of Mythology Retold. So I've been Blackadder at Blackadder's Place. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the kind of look on the announcements and my opinions on all of the things. You can find all the videos on the Age of Empires YouTube. I'm gonna probably put in the links below somewhere. And see you later. And take everything that is said everywhere, including from me, with, well, quite a bit of a grain of salt, and just kind of like imagine, well, what could be right now the reasons that people are saying what they are saying, and just kind of like trust your own judgment and do have a critical mind and don't be like extremely optimistic. Just be cautious and realistic. That's always kind of like better. Let's hope for the best, but yeah, be realistic, not to be too disappointed if things do not entirely reach everything that you would be hoping that they could and that they should. So, yeah, well, this is gonna be the last verse, and therefore, again, thank you very much for watching. I've been Blackadder at Blackadder's Place, and see you later. Hope you enjoyed this long form video. Really long form in the end, as I can see, 1.5 hours. Wow, wasn't expecting that.